All right, welcome back, students. So, want to put you through a test here to see how well you do in king and pawn endgames. Probably one of the most common types of endgames. After the dust has settled for the middle game, all that's left is going to be pawn structure, the king activity, the opposition, and a few other keywords that we'll talk about in just a second. So, white to move here. And at any point, you're welcome to pause the video to think extra. But for brevity's sake, King F3. Okay. And that puts pressure. If you guys watched my last video, that is a tempo move, right? Black has to respond to it or they're going to lose the pawn. So move like king to e5. Right after this, very simple idea of king g4. We get to this pawn much faster than black can defend it. And just to go a few steps further, if black tries to go through the back door after we take here, a very interesting idea. Let's say after king e3, white to move here. Okay. And you want to be very careful because I've shown this to students, and please, please, please do not move this G pawn right now. It's not worth it. Okay. Because if we go G4, well, you guys know that very special French move, right? That could happen. Black's not going to play that. Oh, no, you've just gave black a pass pawn. So I will actually promote in just 3 moves. I'm not going to take it. I'll just promote. Okay. Same thing goes for a move like G3. You've just given me the option to promote. So instead, your crown jewel is your H pawn, so you obviously want to step out of the way. And if king, let's say F2 to attack your pawn, doesn't really matter, right? You can let it go because now their F pawn is under attack. Excuse me, I think I called this an F pawn, G pawn. And after king to G2, what would you play here as white? This is kind of an interesting personality test of where you're at. If you said king to G4, you're not wrong, but it's unnecessary because of a concept we'll look at very soon, which is the rule of the square. If you draw a diagonal line from the pawn to the promotion rank, and then you kind of draw a square here, you practice this, you'll be able to do this in your head. As long as your opponent's king cannot enter that square, they're not going to stop promotion. So you can simply just play h4 here. And black will never catch up to the pawn, no matter what you do. Okay. All right. Level 2. White to move. And this is a very interesting position because I've shown this to students and I'll ask them at first, hey, who would you rather play as? A lot of students will say black because it looks like, black does have a pawn that is closer to promotion technically and has 2 pawns versus 1 pawn. But let's look a little bit deeper into the position. Okay. First of all, king activity. Your king is doing such a fantastic job of blocking that promotion pawn. When it's just king and pawns, it's very hard to push a pawn past a king. All right. White to move. What would you play here? If you said b4, very good job. b3 fails because b4 gives you the extra square there to create the rule, and black will not be able to catch up. Now, a little extra thing I've done for my students that's pretty funny is I'll have them play this position after white has promoted, essentially. So I'll actually, instead of trying to chase the pawn, I will have black push the pawn all the way and white promotes. And you would be surprised at how many people playing as black win this. Not because they're playing amazing moves, but because their opponent is just truly fumbling it. And we'll probably exercise this in a few other puzzles, but we really want to make sure we're utilizing this extra piece, this queen, to create zugzwang. All right, if you're not familiar with that word, we're about to show you what it means. Essentially, it means that you are forcing your opponent to make bad moves, right? What black's going to hope to do is hopefully play like h2 and maybe promote even, okay? Maybe get a queen. So what you want to do with your queen is not just do any regular check. There's a couple of checks, right? But b5 and look at black's options. If they want to protect that g-pawn, you have to be pushed back, all right? And let's say here, push back, okay? Now again, your goal is to try to force black's king away from the pawns. So here, we actually don't go for a checking move. Here, my favorite move, I mean, there's a lot of great moves in this position, but my favorite move because of the principle of the position is queen to e3, all right? And you'll notice, well, black can, sure, push the pawn, sure, but then you're allowing king g2, and then this pawn will get scooped up, okay? Same thing if g2, well, I'll just go up to h2 here, and same issue. If king goes to h4, all right, play the zugzwang move, okay? And very simply, queen to f4. Forces the king back. You'll pick up this pawn, you'll pick up the other pawn, and it's a win. All right, test number 3. This one should be actually maybe even easier than the last one here, but white to move. And you should be already suspicious a bit. There's really only one move that works and one move that completely fails. And the one that completely fails is taking a free pawn. Because now, what are you going to do with that pawn? Black's going to pick up the a pawn. You can't push this because of the a pawn for black. So instead, create a passed pawn. You push the pawn. Just like we talked about with test number 1, you're going to promote in 3 moves. And it's the rule of the square. Black is not going to catch up at all. All right. Test number 4. Ooh. We're going to kind of switch things around a little bit. Really think about this one, okay? There's a lot going on. Now, you have to decide. You have to balance offense with defense here. And only one move works. That move is king e3. Of course, you do not want to allow your opponent to try to promote. It is dangerously close to promoting. Now you're attacking the hanging pawn. King c4 defends the pawn. Okay, white to move. Now, only one move works. If you learn anything from this video, if you fail this next one, please take this into consideration. If you did anything other than king d2, that's a failure. Okay, if you try to promote the pawn. Because if you try to push the pawn, what is black going to do? They're going to play king c3, creating the opposition, and now I promote in 2 moves. There's nothing white can do here. If they try to get tricky and work their way around, let's say king to f2, it doesn't really matter. I can even go, I can even push or go king c2 first. Either way, I'm promoting in 2 moves. I promote faster. So what's super, super important is that we go king d2 to completely stop the pawn, okay? And now you'll notice here, we create the square. Oh no, our opponent is in the square. Oh no. But here, we actually don't care about losing the pawn in this scenario. And I would even run it up further, okay? Because now we're pulling the king away from this action, right? I'll take on d3. And of course, if like black tries to run back to defend these pawns, I'll push. Black has to take this pawn because it's going to promote, but we will get to these pawns much faster, okay? Just to kind of play things out. I mean, you're gonna pick them up, and you'll win the game. All right, last one here, okay? Oh, and a bit of a spoiler, but I mean, the first move, if you've done the first 4, the first move is not too hard, right? I would assume you'd play king c4 here. d4 here, of course, doesn't work because the king is going to get into the action. So c4 here dominates some of the squares, and king goes to d6 to protect. Okay, now what do you play? If you said d4, very good job. You want to maintain the fact that your king has really good opposition against your opponent's king. You don't want to move your king backwards. You don't want to allow black's king to enter that d5 square. Okay? And now you're threatening to take a pawn for free. Check, and it should be winning. So black essentially is forced to take here. And after king takes back, you have the opposition. You'll notice it is black's turn, and they would wish to skip their turn if they could, because they're either going to go king c6 and let you enter onto e5, or of course the other scenario, c5. And there's not much more to be done here, right? Even if they try to, let's say, I mean, you're going to get to these pawns faster. You can even scare and continue to push the king back with a move like d6. King to d6. King b6 also works here. But king to d6, I think, is more of a Chad move. Because you're like, I don't even care about these pawns because of the Zugzwang, right? What does black do here? You will eventually keep pushing him back. He is forced to move his king because he has no choice. And now there is no way for him to protect the pawn. I don't know. h6, and you'll scoop the pawn up. Okay, so keep these things in mind in the endgame. The opposition, the king activity, trying to create pass pawns, implementing the rule of the square and envisioning it, especially in an over-the-board game, right? A lot of you guys only play digital chess, and it's easy to draw squares. What happens when you're in what happens if you're in a tournament? Hey, can I draw on the chessboard real quick so I see? No, that's not going to work. Okay? So work on envisioning that square to see, okay, is the pawn prepared for promotion? Is my king taking up enough squares to back my opponent's king off? Good luck in your games, and I'll see you in the next one.